Hi, I'm going to present you a prototype of the CM4 board case. You will see on the presentation that I had to redesign those parts inside the case because originally Michael Klements did some things like do-it-yourself water tank, and he mounted the fan on the radiator in the opposite direction that I'm doing, just because I decided that I would like to take the air from inside of the case and blown it away outside the case. And then I had to figure out how to mount properly a water tank, just because mine is bigger and it's already done. I'm just bought it, and I decided that I will mount it on the back panel instead of side panel. And also I had to figure out how to properly mount the water block on my CM4 compute module to be able to properly connect everything. And I had problems actually with pipes, with proper mounting it, and I'm explaining it on the presentation how I actually did. I present to you a solution that I came up with myself. I built a cylindrical tank made of acrylic, both couplings for it and a nut. I installed a pump and a transparent tube so you can see it. This is a pump and this is a transparent tube, and it's a little bit white just because of the coolant. And the tank is mounted to the wall of the case with the help of transparent brackets made of acrylic, which come complete with the cylindrical tank. I drilled a small hole, see it here, in the black lid of the tank using a drill. This small tube can be screwed. It has a thread and is included in the kit. So I will do this and I will mount it in the lid. Okay, and now the whole thing is just to put this like that and slowly mount it. Okay, you need to be sure that holds tight, and here you mount this like that. It also has a thread, you can see, so you mount it like that. Then you mount this. You can use a screwdriver if you want to tighten it, and after that all you need to do is to mount those brackets to be able to mount it to the wall. Okay, so now you need to figure out how to properly mount the acrylic tank inside the case. And what you exactly need to do, you need to mount it like that for a moment. Then we have 4 screws that came with the radiator. The logo of the Raspberry Pi, I just glued it, and it's just 3D printed. And you need to then figure out how to properly mount it inside the case like that. And you can see this is not much space. There's not much space inside the case, so I really recommend it to first of all prototype the whole case and think twice where do you want to mount it. Eventually you can try to mount it, you can redesign the case like I'm going to do now, and I think that I will do this. I will just mount it on the back panel, and just because I don't need those holes here, so you can remove it from the project, and then you can just try to mount it like that, and eventually those holes put them a little bit closer to the bottom panel, to move down those holes, and then just design hole for the bracket, because it has holes and it has screws like that, so you can mount it using this. And the best option would be to have it here. Why I'm talking about this? Because if I will mount it here like that, really difficult like that. Okay, so then there is no option to mount the water block, and eventually you can do this, but it's not very convenient. Here you have a PCIe port, and I will leave it as it is now, and I have a bracket for this. And in the beginning it was designed to mount it like that, this way, but not very lucky in this case. Mount it like that, also not very lucky, even if I will move it like that, because this space doesn't allow you to properly mount pipes. And even if you have something that will allow you to do that, I have no idea. Eventually something like this black couplings, black couplings, yes, black couplings. This is something that you can try to buy, but smaller one, and put it here, and then eventually use it like that, and it will be more convenient way to make it work. But you need to figure out how to do this eventually this way. I'm not sure will it be able to work. I suppose that this way would be the best option, and then using couplings here to change the way pipes can be mounted. But in my opinion, the best option would be to mount it on the back side, on the back panel, like that here. And even I can use those holes that I have already, and I will try to do that. So I need a time to make it work. Give me a second, and I will try to do this. It fits the case, not so bad. So I'm going to mount it like that, but you need to be very careful, because those acrylic brackets, they are very delicate, yeah, and you need to be very careful to not break them just by slowly putting all those things together. And please be very careful, very patient. And now it is something that looks much better. And if I will use then, first of all, you need to mount the water block here with the bracket, and after that, when you will mount it, then you can figure out everything inside the case. But there is a problem. I have a small PCI Express card, and I will not mount it here. You need to redesign to move it a little bit up. For the front panel, you need M3 8mm screws, and exactly this is the set, and we have M3X850 PC, so you can buy it and use it. And exactly we need M3 8 millimeters. So you can see this one and exactly this. And if you will use it, you can easily mount the radiator to the case. And now I'm reverting the case, and you can see the inside, and those screws, they come with the radiator, so you can use it to mount the fan into the radiator. So you have to just put it here and it will be done correctly. And what is the difference between me and Michael, actually between our solutions? Michael Klements is mounting the fan the opposite direction than I do. In my case, the fan blows the air through the heatsink, through the radiator, to the outside of the case. So it takes the air from the case, from the inside of the case, and it blows the air through the heatsink outside of the case. And in Michael's case, the fan, it pulls the warm air from the heatsink and blows it inside the case. I know that there are holes on the back panel, you can see it, so not a problem, so because the air goes through the holes, and in his case it's fine. But because I'm mounting the tank here on the back panel like that, I'm going to change the whole thing, and you need to understand that this is correct option, that I did it this way. Okay, so now I will mount the acrylic tank and we will see the result after that. I made a hole in the case using really old method, so I just warmed this using a gas, and when it was very hot I just made a hole in the case. So that was the way I did it, and you can see it fits perfectly now, and here we go. And now I will create a bracket using two parts, the bracket and the holder for the water cooling block. To bond these two pieces together, I need a dichloromethane, in short DCM, or we can say methylene chloride or methylene bichloride, and it is widely used as a solvent. So I'm going to use it to bond these two pieces together, and after that, after a few minutes, I will be able to put the water cooling block into this bracket, and it will exactly allow me to keep this in place, so I can then use screws to mount it directly to the CM4 computing models. And you can see I have stands off already in place, so I can put it there. Now we need Thermal Grizzly Kryonaut grease. options, and we can mount two pipes. So from the radiator, the pipe will go to this and go inside the acrylic tank, and the pump will pump it to the water block, and from the water block it will go here. So you need to design it very carefully. So first of all, design this connection, then design the connection between the acrylic tank and the water block, and at the end from the acrylic block to the radiator. Good advice: if you cut this badly, you can eventually revert it back and put this bad piece of the pipe with badly and like that, and now it should work. And this end is quite nice, and what we need is this. So we will put this on this like that, and then I will explain why I am going to use it that way, why I need this, because the diameter of this is smaller than the diameter of the pipe. But this is normal, and hard to buy a proper pipes with a proper diameter. So now I'm going to do this hard part. So you need to push those two like that to make it a little bit bigger for a moment, and then you need to put it on the really hard finger. But now you can see it fits. So everything applies exactly. Lovely. This is the one part done. Right? Excellent. So now the second part is to understand how to use the pipe how to mount the pipe from the acrylic tank to the water block. I will try to explain the situation. You have to remove the bracket for a moment and to put the metal part into this here, into this place, and then you can put the water block on the view. Okay, so I had difficulties with this. It was very bad. So I have a water block, and what I had to do, I had to move it like that, the metal part here inside. I'm going to present it. Located like that. You can see between those pipes. Just because it cannot be here on this side, so it has to be done that way. Just because then I can easily use the bracket like that. You can see this is the only way you can mount it. So now I'm going to put all those pieces together, but very careful, sorry for that. And I'm going to put, okay, maybe I will try to now you figure out how to, you know what to do. You have to, sometimes you need to remove the pipe from the other side like that. Okay, so now you're wondering what I'm going to do. I boiled the water, and I have a almost 90 degrees or 95 degrees of Celsius water here. So I'm putting the end of the pipe inside this cup with a hot boiled water, and thanks this you can of course use a drummer or something like this, but or hot air, but hot water is also a good thing. And then you just need a piece of paper to just remove the water from the pipe and go like that. And then easily you can just put the pipe onto the radiator now. We have to then slowly remove this, and put the coolant inside the tank. And by the way, I will try. This is the fan, okay? Fan connection. Excellent. And then I will have to figure out how to mount the water pump, just because I have this cable. So then I will try to connect it to the Raspberry Pi hat. So we will see how it's working. Okay. Okay. So we need a solid cloth white from EK Cryo Fuel, and we will use a funnel. Think like that. I have a big one, so but the best option is just not to remove this. But if you have something small that you can put it here, that is okay. But instead, I will remove totally the lid like that. Much easier to do that. I will put it here, right, and now I will use a funnel and my right. And now what you need to do, you need to understand that how you should connect the water pump into the GPO. So the best option is to just put it to the GPO pin and to the ground and to the 3 or 5 volts to be able to make it work. Right. Connect it. Sometimes it's really hard. So you need to know the schema. You need to know which connect to. I am using a 5 volts and the ground. Oh, and it bring down. Can you see it? Just because it's hard to present it on the screen, the camera. Okay, this one is correct. So on this side, 5 volts and the ground. The first. See? So this row here and here we have a connection. Not the first one, but the second one is red and the third is black, the ground. Okay. So now I will try to power it for a moment. Just a moment. And we will see if it's working correctly. Working like a charm. Excellent. Lovely. So can you see is the water flowing? I mean the coolant actually. And the fan is also working. So I'm going to test the connection now. I need to connect the and it should receive the IP address. Okay. One thing that you need to remember, you need to put the PCI Express into the adapter to the slot. I forgot about it and wasn't able to start the operating system. So that was my fault. Make it work once again. So now this time the disk is and NVMe drive is connected to the PCI adapter, and PCI adapter is connected to the slot, the PCI Express slot. So I'm going to check it. Connecting, changing the input on my monitor. I'm checking the Raspberry Pi connection. The CM4 board is booting up the Raspberry Pi OS now, and I can see the progress on the screen, and it booted up properly. Lovely. Now you can see everything is fine. Everything is mounted. There is no leak. I added more icky cryo fuel to the water tank. It's a non-transparent white coolant. And what's more, fan is working all the time. The pump is working all the time, even if you will power down the CM4 compute module with CM4 board. It's working all the time. So I will have to figure it out. Is it possible to make it work the way that if the operating system goes down, then the fan and water pump is also turned off? Because if you have a power all the time connected to the board, the pump and the fan are working all the time. Temperature is about 29, 28 degrees of Celsius, so I think the result is quite impressive. 27 even sometimes. So it depends how view is working, and I think that the result is quite good. It's not overclocked, so we will see the temperature when I will try to overclock the CM4 compute module, and then I will see results and I will be able to make a comparison.